Alright, welcome back. This is part 2 of our machine cut printing, and right now we are going to go through our design and how we laid it out based on the drawing that we sketched out earlier. And I am going to reverse engineer this basic graphic that we put together. And the reason why I pre-designed these before we record is because I want to make sure that whatever I'm showing you is correct and looks correct. Alright, so first things first, we are in Adobe Illustrator. Okay, this is a vector-based program, and it is much different than Photoshop. Photoshop is a pixel-based program, so if you're not a newbie, please bear with me. I'm going to go over just some basic things here. This is our primary selection tool, this is our direct selection tool, and this is our shapes. Click down over here and see here, should get, there we go. Alright, so these are all the different shapes that we're going to use to build our building with and our tools. We also use the line segment tool here, and we're going to end up using a shape builder tool, which is down here. Which basically helps us merge graphics together. We don't do that a whole lot in this particular design, which we could have done it a little bit more, but I try not to do it a whole lot in certain designs that I'm showing you how to make. And this design is pretty much real basic to make, so let's get into it. We are going to start with disassembling what we have here, and I'm just going to take these things apart here, and we're going to see exactly what we have and what those shapes are. And as you can see, this is, I know it looks real complicated, but it really isn't. It's really just all shapes. We've got squares, triangles, and a couple circle tools in some of the tools. Okay, so here we have our house has been taken apart. And how do we build this? Okay, well, first thing I did was I started with a square tool, which is over here in the corner, and you can take the square tool and you can make it whatever shape or size you want. If you hold shift, it will be a perfect square, and if you want to distort it to fit the shape of the house that you want, which is what I did, you can do that as well. And so here is our primary shape for the first part of the house, and I pretty much took that and I combined it with a triangle, which we also selected here. This star tool here, if you use this and you use your up and down arrow keys, you can turn this into a star, or you can turn it into a triangle, as you can see here. And that is how we got that image. For the slanted roof parts, okay, those are our rectangles, which we use the square tool to make. But instead of using our regular selection tool, I use our direct selection tool, and when I click on these anchor points here, I can drag those to the angle that I need it to be. And just by dragging this, I'm able to get the angle that I need for the roof based on the drawing that we did earlier. And this does take some playing and practicing with to get things to be the way you might want it to be. But once you do that, you're able to get the correct angles, and that's how these two pieces were made. Outside of that, most of all these parts are squares or some kind of triangle. Like in the saw here, we did use the merge tool on the saw, and we did use the merge tool over here on the steps. Alright, so our house is back together. So now we have these steps here, and the way I created these steps is I went in and we just created some squares. And then I created another square connecting to that box. And this green line that you see here is it helps you keep your angles, you know, the same distance across the board. I like to keep it on. Some people find it really distracting. I don't. Bam. Okay, so we select all three of those, and then we go to the shape building tool here. And as you can see, when we go across these, we get a dotted grid pattern where you right click or left click, depending on how your hand is, and you drag across, and it merges all those shapes together, and that is how we constructed our steps. Okay. For everything else, if we zoom in here, there are a couple other odd shapes that we made. This back part of the hammer here that started out as a square, and we used, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more here, we used a direct selection tool, and by doing that we see these other anchor points that we can take and drag into the position that we want, and that allowed us to create this curved shape here, and also this inner shape here for the main part of the hammer. Also with the bent shape of the nail, those are all constructed doing it using the direct selection tool. Once we have put back our house together here, I decided, because when we print this on our plotter system, anything that's in black is going to be what remains after it cuts it out, and I didn't want to have just an open outline of a house, so we changed our colors here, and by selecting these particular sections, we just change them to black, and bam. And this is great for clip art. I love this program. It's just a very cool program to use, very easy to use, and if you do it correctly, you can have original clip art that you can also sell or reuse in other projects that you want to use. And you don't have to be an excellent drawer to do this. All you have to do is recognize shapes and be able to build things using these shapes. It's really that simple. And this is our finished product here. Really not much more than that. You know, I changed a couple things. I like to have this drill going this particular way. I thought it looked better than dipping down once we start laying in the text. I wanted a heavier font, so I changed the font to look more heavier, and also to have that handy man type look, like that home improvement look. And based on this, we can go ahead and get ready to print. We're going to take this design and we're going to save it as a PDF or JPEG for our particular system, and we'll go into that in the third part of this tutorial. So thank you for hanging in there, and let's get to making something. Please subscribe so that we can blow up this channel. Have a good day.